So
Right.
please, everybody, if you do nothing else, freeze your credit, update your software, turn on MFA. You're automatically right there. You're now 300% safer or more.
Welcome to Creativity with Purpose, where we explore the stories, struggles, and sparks that shape our creative lives. I'm your host, Ann Maracek, author, healer, and believer in the power of meaningful expression. Together, we'll dive deep into what it means to create with heart, live with intention, and heal through the beauty of storytelling.
I'm Ann Maracek, and this is Creativity with Purpose. Today, we're talking with Jocelyn King. She is the queen of online security. Jocelyn is a leading cybersecurity expert, educator, and advocate for online safety. Recognized as a top 10 women in cybersecurity, she is a sought-after speaker and podcaster, featured on Dr. Phil's part-time news, morning shows, and international media. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hello, Anne. So great to be with you and your wonderful audience. I love your show.
Oh,
Wonderful to
thank
be
you
here with
so
you.
much. This is so fun. So, we are fellow authors, which I love. We met through our publishing company, which is fantastic. And as so many authors I have found in my meetings,
Mhm.
it seems like so many of us have suffered a tragedy, a loss, some kind of trauma.
Mhm.
We have gone on a personal journey of healing and discovery,
Yes.
and we have come out the other side with a passion to help others to either protect themselves, as in your case, or as in my case, to go through an emotional transformation and healing.
Mhm.
What started you on this creative purpose to help others with their cybersecurity? Because in our world today, this is a real, honest, invasive problem.
Oh, it certainly is.
Yep.
Well, just not quite a decade ago, I was at really a wonderful time in my life. I had moved to Silicon Valley. I like tech and how
Yeah.
things work. And I'm a bit of a geek, I'm a closet geek and nerd. And I love doing that. And I'm not the engineer. I was the marketing person.
Okay.
But I loved doing that. And I ended up, working at Intel and working in startups. And it was just really exciting, and learning about what's going on. And so many good things are being built. And so many people are trying to make a difference, working with startups that are creating, software to help people that have overcome problems in their lives. So I was really just loving the energy of all that. During that time, I got targeted by cyber criminals. There's a couple different types of cybercrime that happen. One is, your credit card gets taken because you're doing a credit card transaction
Right.
while you're sitting at Starbucks and somebody who has skills like the people I work with and stuff, captures it and you get false charges and you lose thousands of dollars. You hopefully get some of it rectified. It's a single event
Right.
and it could be for hundreds or hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's a single event.
Mhm.
In my case, it was a different type, and this happens to different type of people for different reasons. But
Mhm.
it's like a long haul thing where you get targeted, and this happens more often than people realize. Like you could have a lot of times, for instance, let's talk about ransomware for a second. If
Okay.
ransomware people think of as an event, like oh my gosh, somebody got in and freezes
Right.
your data. Well, typically in a company, they've been there for 9 months. They get in and they're looking around. They're like this ninja in stealth mode because they're ultimately looking for how much money the company has decided it will pay and how much their cyber insurance will pay for a ransomware attack. And if it says $1 million dollars or $5 million, dollars, guess what they're going to demand in ransomware payment? Because there's already a protocol. They already said, should this happen to us, this is going to be our action plan.
Right.
So things like that are long hauls, and they can go on for months, even years. I had
Wow.
somebody break in. Uh, they had, they compromised a family member's phone, so they were able to get into our network and everything, unbeknownst to us and invisibly to our entire life, including our security system and stuff. So I'm going off to work, and
Oh
my
my
partner's gone, and
gosh.
we're traveling. And what happened was somebody actually broke into our home because they were able to open the deadbolts and disable the alarm, turn off the cameras, and open the deadbolts with no alarms going off, even though we've armed our house because it looks like a
Wow.
family member is doing this. And so there's no flags, there's no nothing. So you think you're safe, right? You've gone
Right,
away.
right.
And we don't even know when exactly it happened because it had happened a year prior. And this was the really traumatizing part. Like, as though that's not like, okay, if you come home and you find out your home's broken into, that's traumatizing.
Of
What
course.
happened to me is that I had some attic repair people fixing a leak that had happened, and they're replacing insulation. And I'm standing in my bedroom and I look up and this cord thing pops down. I'm like, what is this thing? And then it just disappears. And I'm like, I run out because they're vacuuming it up. We open the vacuum and it's a surveillance microphone. So I had a
My
microphone
Lord.
planted in my bedroom ceiling for God knows how long, for over a year. And that meant everything, every conversation, every intimate moment in my bedroom was being listened to by the last people on earth I'd want to give access to anything in my life. And things like this happen, and it happened to me. And it ended up, and they then had access to our financial records, retirement accounts, things like that. And once we find this, I'm calling, of course, the police and
Of
law
course.
enforcement, and I got to speak with an FBI field agent,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get any help. They were very sorry. It's like, I'm sorry, man, we can't help you because even with the device, it's like, well, those can be purchased anywhere on the internet. There's no smoking gun of a break-in. There's no fingerprints. When you call law enforcement, you think, oh my gosh, the cavalry is going to come help me.
Right, right.
And then you find out you're not going to get any help. You talk about trauma, then you're getting
Yeah.
re-traumatized because you're expecting help and you find out you're on your own.
Mhm.
And I found out I was one of 1 million people filing cybercrime reports with the FBI that year.
Wow.
And that's only the ones that are reported. And they
Sure.
even the FBI Crime Commission says they think that only 10 to 20% are reported. So
Because
you do the
you
math.
didn't know for a year. There's tons of people out there that still don't know.
Right, right. And over a year. And we just kept having, and there were some things, like just the series of the stress of all of this, and then trying to
Sure.
trace who it was. And then so on our own, we're paying very expensive private investigators and people to come in and sweep the house and the car.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're spending a lot of money because you're protecting your life. We
Right.
know, and we
Right.
uh, and so it's a long story, and I'm saving it for the Netflix series at some
There you
point because
go.
it was really long and involved, but it went on for over 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
And over
The
that
recovery
time,
went on for 2 years.
the being under siege basically, and not feeling safe in my own home, and then people are
Right.
like, well, you should move, and it's like, well, if you're being targeted, moving isn't going to stop people, and you don't really know what's happening and why, and so and you can't solve it. So I did have a private investigator get to some things, but the bottom line is, after 2 years, my husband had had a series of heart attacks and had a quadruple bypass as a result,
Oh
and then
my
had a
Lord.
personality change. And the man that I had been married to for over 20 years was a complete stranger to me, and he thought, and he thought I had something to do with all this because there's no logical reason for why it'd be happening otherwise in his mind. So here we are, we're the two of us against all of this, and then now all of a sudden he thinks,
Oh no.
an enemy. So and he had PTSD, and he had when you have I learned this from the nurses, the
Uh-huh.
wonderful aftercare nurses. They said about a third of the cases of any kind of heart surgery that they do, there's some personality change involved. And I said, that's not in you give me this big 3-inch book and there's nothing in there about this.
Nothing about that.
Right. So, and this
Huh.
was during COVID. So
No.
trying to get him help, I'm hearing there's 9-month wait lists.
Oh my gosh.
So needless to say, when you talk about going through a traumatic event, so I lost over $500,000.
Oh
I
Lord.
lost my 20-year marriage. I lost my health. If I show you pictures of me 9 years ago, you'd think it was my mother, because I mean, it looks 20 years older than I am now,
Yeah.
because I was so stressed
That
out.
stress. Oh
And
yeah.
then I
And
honestly thought I
probably
was going to lose my
grieving.
mind. Oh, yeah.
Probably grieving.
Well, yes and no. I needed to grieve, and
Mhm.
I didn't have one thing about grieving, you can't start grieving until you're at safety, and I wasn't at safety.
Oh. You were still in fight mode.
I was still in fight or flight and also in freeze mode because then it turns out that you can also be a freezer. Freezer is an even more early
Oh,
response because what happens is like if you know if a bear comes into the cave, of our ancestors, like even a 5-year-old will try to fight, but a baby can't do that. And so our most primal response is to freeze. What a baby will do is like hold its breath and stop moving. So
uh-huh.
it turns invisible.
Yes.
And I was so afraid that I was kind of freezing. And that's why even like getting the private, when I found out the FBI and called, it's like just it took every every ounce of will I had each
Oh,
day just to do one thing. I might lean,
yeah.
and one thing's better than nothing. And I was getting
Right.
stuff done because I'm also still having to go to work. I'm also still have all this stuff going on. So it was hell. And I had a quote up on my refrigerator from a magnet. It was a famous Winston Churchill quote during the war. When you're going through hell, keep going.
Keep walking, right? Don't stop.
And that's what, but I
Right.
honestly, there were times when I thought it felt like every day I was even losing ground the more I tried. And
Uh,
I was so close to just giving up. And, but
yeah.
then something in me was like, first of all, I can't do this. My grown daughter and son, and like, I can't
Yeah.
let the bad guys win. And secondly, I remembered when I was a kid on the playground, a girl being bullied
No.
because her mother was not acceptable in the social circle kind of thing. And so she was being picked on. And it was so unfair to me, the injustice of it. And I
Sure.
didn't know how to fight, but I stood up to the bully and I said, "You stop teasing." And she came after me to hit me, and I didn't know how to fight. So I just grabbed the top of her head and held her.
Yeah.
And she was kicking and hitting me, but she was only getting my arm because I was holding her out.
Yeah.
And because the other kids laughed, then she decided not to mess with me anymore. But I didn't
Uh-huh.
know how to fight, and I stood up anyway because I was like, I can't let this happen in front of me. And that part of me that did that when I was 10
Mhm.
came to my rescue when I was 50. I was like, okay, I gotta, I gotta figure this out. So then what I did was I just started reaching out to meet cybersecurity people because I thought they'll know how to do
Right.
this.
Right.
Even the PIs I met and the IT people and all the stuff that I couldn't find anybody who could help me. They said, well, we can install this software on your laptop, or we can do this. There were all these little, they call them point solutions. It's like
Okay.
one-off things. But I was
Hmm.
like, no, I need a moat. How do I get a
Yeah.
moat? And it didn't exist. And that was the thing. This is what really got me motivated. I have to this day the dozens of books on cybersecurity that got. See, I'm like you. I did not want to learn cybersecurity. I just wanted to have online safety.
Right.
I still have all these books. I was on hundreds of websites. I'm like, there's got to be a checklist that I
Right.
can just go through and take steps and check them off to get safe, and then I can share it with everybody I care about so they can stay safe.
Right.
And it didn't exist.
Didn't exist.
And
Yeah.
I was even asking people, somebody's got this, right? The government or a company or no. And I said, well, darn it, I'm going to create it. And that
Right.
became my mission.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's the point that you were talking about too, of how it can, so I did it to save myself.
Yeah.
I put my own oxygen mask on first, but now I'm like, I'm getting oxygen masks on everybody in the plane because this is crazy. And we've got terrorists hijacking this plane. And we're like, not on my watch. I'm going to do everything I can.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so that's what I've done. I've launched this company and this podcast, Smarter Online Safety. And so one thing that happened, I did meet all these great cybersecurity people. And these are the people who have helped the CIA take down international criminals. These are the people who protect our nuclear submarine codes. These are the people who protect trillions of dollars of Wall Street trading every day.
Right.
You know,
Right.
these are the people that protect the logos of the companies you and I see every day. And so I was like, so they invited me to work with them. And I got to be,
Wonderful.
and so for over 3 years in the trenches, elbow to elbow, and I watched, I was like, oh my God, this is a full-fledged business enterprise. I mean, they're selling yours and my data on the dark web like flea market items on eBay. $2 for your social security number and your credit card with a pin and $10 this. Your medical record is the most expensive thing. It gets 800.
Interesting. I would think they would have no use for that.
No, they want it because they can sell it and people go in and use your medical records to get their own surgeries done, and you don't find out about it till later. There's a lot of medical things being done under other people's names. So there could be somebody named Ann Marachek getting an appendix operation or a nose job today somewhere, and it's going into your insurance, and you won't hear about it till you get this thing in the mail, and you're like, "What is this?"
Who is
So
this? Yeah.
that's happening. So that kind of
Oh my
retail is going
gosh.
on. So all these things were going on. And
Mhm.
there's hackers, there's hacktivists, and there's cybercrime rings. And so I got to learn all of this. And
Yeah.
I told them, I said,
Yeah.
guys, I'll do this. I want to do this for 3 years, but then I'm going to go out and I'm going to take everything I've learned and I'm going to share it. So I was in cybersecurity. So I went from cybercrime victim to being named a top 10 woman in cybersecurity, which was
Wow.
wonderful because that gives me a platform to reach more
Right.
people, to help more
Right.
people.
Of course. Exactly. Because with that social credibility, comes not only an empowerment, but it builds trust so that people know that you have really done the work. You've done the homework. The information you have is credible,
Yeah.
and it builds a trust.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's
Thank
really
you for that.
important. It's
Well,
really,
I think so too when I talk to people because if I were just a victim who had good intentions, I wouldn't
yes.
have all the skills. And if I just was,
Right.
hey, I've been a hacker since I was a teenager and I can teach you a couple of things, it wouldn't have the empathy and the understanding. Because
Right.
most of the people in cybersecurity are virtually hackers. In fact, my partner has this logo on his stuff. My business partner, I have several business partners I work with, depending on whether we're working with a company or a small business or
Huh.
association. But their tagline is we protect you from people like us, and that's exactly.
Yeah.
And
There you
these are the
go.
people that protect me now, because
Right.
that was the other thing. As much as I wanted to come out, the publisher that you and I worked through, and
Sure.
I had the vision of my book 4 years ago, and it's
Uh,
finally just coming out
yeah.
because, well, first of all, AI changed everything. So I was like, oh,
Yes.
I got to wait because AI cybercrime is a whole disruptive thing, and I've got to include that. So that's
So you
my
wanted
book.
to update
I
your
want
content.
people to
Right.
understand how to protect themselves from AI cybercrime, and so
Mhm.
that's what my book is. But it was also about putting myself out there. When you're a victim and traumatized, you just want to hide
Mhm.
and lick your wounds, kind of, and then when you work in cybersecurity, you intentionally hide. Everybody in cybersecurity will have a LinkedIn profile, but they don't interact a lot on social media at all. A lot of them don't even have Facebook accounts. If they do, it's almost like it's just to get on and be able to see things that family members are posting, and they don't post at all, and it's not connected to any of their devices or anything because they have to create a perimeter around themselves, and
Right.
they live
They're
in a bunker.
trying to
They
be stealth.
Right. They have to live in a bunker. And cybersecurity professionals are called paid paranoids. Okay. They're called paid paranoids for a
Oh,
reason because they're living. In fact, because I've recovered and I'm getting to do what I do now, I jokingly say I'm the only smiling cybersecurity person you're likely to meet out of all the people because I am so overjoyed that I get to do this. Every day I get to help people. And
yeah.
every day I get to turn my tragedy into a triumph. And that just means everything to me.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. When is the book scheduled to come out? When do we expect to see it on
Everything. Well,
Amazon?
so October every year is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Oh, there you go.
I'm hoping to get it out for pre-orders, but I'm getting it out in time for the holiday season because with Cyber
Sure.
Monday and Black
Yeah.
Friday and all this stuff, there's a huge peak in crime. So I want people to know the basics of how to
Yeah.
protect themselves, and also makes a great holiday gift and things like that. So I'm getting it out for that, and it's called Digital Self-Defense in an AI World: The Online Survival Skills No One Taught You, because that's
Excellent.
exactly what it is.
Excellent. And of course, we'll put the link in the program notes so everyone can access that because I will be accessing it.
Great,
It's
excellent.
very, very important to have that. Um, AI is not going away,
No, it's just getting started.
right? Has that made it easier or harder for us as individuals to protect ourselves?
It's a
Or
great question.
is it
Well, see, and I love AI. I use it every day. As
Mhm.
with most things made by human beings, it has great uses for good
Sure,
causes and great. It's an
it's
incredibly
a
powerful
tool,
things. Yeah.
right?
And so from that, let me just talk about the hackers for a second, because what it's done, because it's so good, like, it's helping you and me, go through our email box or craft emails and things.
Right.
It's also helping it's helping the hackers write the emails that you can't detect anymore. Because, a couple years ago, before ChatGPT launched,
Right. Right.
you could spot the typos. That's English as a second language thing doesn't make any sense. You could spot it. So
Yes.
now AI tools have made bad hackers good hackers great, and great hackers almost unstoppable because they keep, I'm in Silicon Valley, and here we say, fail fast and iterate, and when you're a startup. And I have to say the bad guys are better at doing it, faster at doing that because they do it at
Oh,
speed than
yeah.
anybody else. So I am seeing AI as a tool. There's 4,000 cybersecurity companies in the United States, and
Oh, wow.
there's 24,000 globally. All of them are integrating AI in some way. And there's also standardized, you know, alliances and committees and things looking at how to standardize certain AI practices within cybersecurity itself. So it is helping, but it's on a slower rate than what's happening with cybercrime because cyber criminals are operating independently, so they can go very fast, they iterate, and if they make a mistake, they don't care, they just learn and go on, whereas companies have to beta test and coordinate and launch and so it's it's ultimately helping us,
Mhm.
but what it's doing is it's making it harder to detect because cyber, all the whole premise of cybersecurity still, still has the element, it still relies on the human element of verification. And what that
Oh,
means is that, when you get the text from the DMV or the IRS fraud, X percent, it's usually around 90% plus, depending on which statistics you look at, people don't fall for it. But there are a lot of people
yeah.
who fall for it.
Mhm.
And when I say fall for it, it's not because the ones who don't are smarter and the ones who do. I mean, I've met people who are like Mensa scary smart, have incredibly high IQs and are victims of cybercrime. So first of all, there's zero correlation, and that's really important because there's a stigma you feel when you've been victimized, like, oh, how could I fall for that? It's not your fault. They're Hackers are better at understanding human psychology than, many therapists and most marketers. I mean, they have it down, and ChatGPT is helping them craft it. So it
Yeah.
immediately, that email is meant to immediately put you into fight or flight, and then you leave your good thinking prefrontal cortex. It's like, wait a minute, let's slow down, let's do this. So you're immediately in your fight or flight and response. You're like, I've got
Right.
taxes due. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to get my license is going to get suspended. It immediately puts you in this fear response,
Right.
and you stop questioning the source and you start
Mhm.
thinking about what am I going to do? What am I going to do in a panic? And it's designed that way. So the first thing is if you feel that kind of panic, you got to stop. You got to take the pause.
Right.
But what AI is doing for us is really you have to be what you could do, you have to slow down and you have to research, is this realistic, or you go to a secure channel, like if it's supposedly your bank, you
Yes.
leave the text. Your bank's not going to text you asking you for
Oh,
information,
right.
and so
Right.
you really want to block and delete, and you want to go to, you know you want to go to your actual bank. You want to have your retirement and banking institutions already in your phone or the right number. And I'll tell you why, because one of the things is when people are panicking, they'll go, let's just use Bank of America, okay, BOFA.com. I'm going to go find it. So they type, you know, B of A, and they see a link, and they go, okay, I'm going to click on it. And if they always are clicking, that first link is sponsored link.
Yeah.
And cyber criminals every day are setting up new ads, and they get turned off eventually but hopefully even within 24 hours, but they can do a lot of damage in 24 hours,
Oh,
and that
yes,
damage can be
absolutely.
you.
Right.
It can be
Right.
you or a loved one. So the problem is, again, we're in our fight or flight. We're not seeing, oh, sponsored link. We're not looking at, so always look at the URL. If
Mhm.
it's not bofa.com or
Yes.
space.com, it's not right. So you want to have if you have these things ready to go, then you don't have to rely on your calming yourself down and getting out of fight or flight in the moment. So
Right.
that really helps.
And I think that if you read an email
Hmm.
that obviously is designed to be fear mongering,
Yeah.
red flag, just hit
Yes.
delete. If it's really your bank, they'll call you on the phone and talk to you.
Right. And well, and you can also always proactively call them.
Sure, absolutely. I get constantly Your account has been suspended. Your all of your data is going to be erased from the cloud, whatever the cloud is, right? And
Which is impossible, by the way, for in case
right,
anybody.
exactly. And click this link and contact us so we can reestablish your credit line, right? Yeah, no, thank you. Delete, spam, right?
Now, one of the challenges too is a lot of people want to open the attachment to see what it is. And the problem is
Yeah,
you're clicking on malware. You are
yeah,
downloading malware on your
right,
system. And
exactly.
a lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, I'm just going to look at this. Oh, and then they look at it and go, I'm not going to fall for that. The problem is you already have.
You already have.
So
Yeah,
don't click, don't interact with it. And, I mean, treat it, like, a poisonous snake came into your living room.
yes,
Don't get too close. Don't mess with it. Just delete it and then handle it through another channel.
absolutely, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I'm a grandparent
Hmm.
and I have a 10 and an 8-year old grandchildren. Um, this is scary.
It is.
How do grandparents protect their kids? What is the conversation we need to be having here?
That's such a great question. And in fact, my second book is on kids because there's a detailed because it also depends on what ages they are. So
Right.
like you kind of
Mine
have
are
to,
little, but
yeah,
people in our audience, we have every age
exactly.
that we,
Exactly. So just to give you an idea, so for the book that'll be coming out, next
yeah,
year, I broke it into 4 categories because you want it, first of all, from 0 to 2, there's things you have to do because Social Security numbers, you have to be protecting your
yeah,
child or grandchild's Social Security number. And and a lot of people think, oh, well, we got a Social Security number for him, so it's fine. It's not that. It's the same problem you and I have, which is
sure.
it's gone. It's already being sold. What you have to do is protect yourself from it being used against you.
Mhm.
And what happens, a lot of kids, when they go to apply for college or their first job, so somewhere around the age of 15 to 19,
Mhm.
they are finding out that they've got bad credit. They're finding out things. So what happens is they
Wow.
what the criminals do is they'll take your grandchild's social security number and another person's name and birth date. And so they kind of do this mashup.
Ah,
They create a pseudo personality.
like an avatar.
Yeah, exactly. But there's truth in it. It's a real social security number. It's a
Mhm.
real person's name. It's a real birth date. Now they're not all the same person, but they each verify. So against systems, they're not detected, and this is very, very common. So
Ah,
you have to freeze your own credit with all 4 credit unions. By the way, some people think there's 3. There are 4 credit unions. You got to freeze it with all 4, and you need to freeze your grandchildren's against that because they're probably not taking out a loan at the age of 2 or 10 or 12. And if
right,
they were, you'd want to know about it anyway. So you need
right,
to freeze
right,
it to protect it. And as a grandparent,
mhm.
your kids are really busy because they're
Right,
working and doing soccer
right,
and whatever else. So telling them some of these things can be very helpful. Uh,
exactly.
yeah, and then the next stage is, of course, young. Now, you're going to put more screen time limits, and in the early ages, you really want kids to be learning. It, see, the thing that I love to tell people, this is why everybody thinks cybersecurity is so complicated, and it's certainly, and frankly, the cybersecurity industry, which I've been part of, has made it that way because we say, well, it's so complicated, and I'm not saying it's not,
Mhm.
but just because it's complicated or because the enemy is formidable doesn't mean that protection has to be complex.
Right, right.
You already know how to protect yourself, and all your viewers do, because you already know how to lock your doors and windows when you are at home or leave. If you know how to do that, you know how to protect yourself online. Just nobody's shown you the steps. It
Yes,
really is translatable. So what you want to be thinking of in teaching your kids about online safety, it's the same you have in life. You teach them don't take candy from strangers.
right.
Don't run out in the street without looking both ways. It's just nobody. That's why I called the subtitle of the book "The Online Survival Skills No One Taught You," because nobody taught us this. They taught us not to take candies from
Right,
strangers. They taught
right,
us not to run out in the street. They taught us, even if a ball's going over there, you stop, you look.
right.
They taught us, not to reach out and start petting dogs without, checking. I mean, we learned those survival skills in life. Well, there's a whole set of them now for online. We live in a physical world and an online world. Everybody does.
You
Even
do.
if you throw out your computer and everything, your data is
It's
still
still
in
out there. Right.
databases and clouds. So you have an online life, whether you interact with it or not.
Mhm.
And that's just the reality. So it's like gravity. You just have to accept it and work with it, you
Right.
know? But
Right.
once you know that, then you just think, okay, so then just like I've taken precautions and taught my children safety about strangers and real world, I need to do this. The challenge is most of the adults of us who are teaching our kids don't know what we don't know, so we're not teaching them. And that's what I'm trying to do. So some of the things you want to do is let them know. In fact, when you're talking about strangers and say, you want to talk, let them know. It's true in the physical world and it's true online. And in fact, they're more likely to run into them online because you're
Definitely.
physically protecting them and you can see people coming and
Mhm.
you interact with fewer people in a
Right.
day-to-day reality, even if you're out in a crowded place, than you do online.
Mhm.
So more bad people have access.
Sure.
There's a population curve of a bell curve.
Mhm.
15% of our human population of 8 billion plus has some kind of pathology. And that could be anything from some kind of neurosis to full-on psychopathic behavior. You're right.
Mhm.
So 15. And some say that's conservative. But that's true in the real world. So that's why kids coming and going from school, being careful about people who seem,
Sure.
safe but aren't. We know all that stuff in the physical world. Well, the same is true online. So when you're teaching these lessons, the best thing you can do as a grandparent and a parent is extend that to the online and just say, and you have to especially be careful online
Mhm.
because they can be masquerading. It's very hard for a bad guy to masquerade as who's like a 40-year-old man or woman who wants to human traffic a child.
Yes.
For they can't pretend they're an 8-year-old when they're at the mall, but they can pretend they're an 8-year-old.
Online. Right. Especially with Chat GPT,
Yes, yes.
because they can tell the chat bot respond as if you're 8 years old.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And I was just at an AI and crypto conference in Silicon Valley last week. I was keynoting on the topic of cybersecurity, but I was also then listening to everybody else. And we had
Sure. Of
the
course.
godfather of AI, who's been working on AI for 40 years and came out of
Wow.
Berkeley, and all, founders of crypto and, and people who are really working to do great things in the
Mhm.
world and AI ethics leaders, all of this.
Yeah.
But the thing that was really, coming up for me was just realizing the amount of change, coming, and that the good news is the good news and bad news is
Okay.
um, we're in the world and these things are happening, but we're not at the mercy of it
Right.
because you can protect yourself. So we've been hitting on some bad news here for a while. I want to give some good news. For instance, Microsoft did a study that turning on your multi-factor authentication, which means when you're logging in
Mhm.
to key accounts, that you're getting an alert, a second channel verification. Like
Like when they say, here's your
it
6-digit
texts
code
your
on
phone.
your phone.
Yeah, it gives
Right.
you the
Right.
six-digit code and things like that.
Right.
Just turning that on
Mhm.
can protect you from 99.9 of specific
Oh yeah,
percent
because
of specific
they're
attacks.
someone outside
Correct.
isn't going to have the code that comes through on your phone that you have to
Correct.
respond. Right.
Correct. And there are some ways that hackers are also taking over SIM cards, and you can't say you're completely safe from it, but there's several things that if you do them, I want you to think of the way you're going to protect yourself and your family is multi-layered. And
Sure.
so when you put multi-layer on, which is what we do at home, I
Sure.
mean, there's a reason we even have, you have a lock and you have a deadbolt and you
Right.
might have a gate and you might have a ring camera and you have curtains, I mean, like we have multi-layer in real
Right.
life. So again, we're just applying everything that works in real life to
And
online.
they my family was robbed when I was 10,
Mm,
and it was devastating.
yeah.
And as soon as we put in the alarm system in the home,
Hmm.
the criminals continued to hit people on homes in our area, but they left us alone because they just went to people that were easier picking.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So I think even if you have a minimal
Mhm.
amount of layering and security in place,
Right.
they're not stupid. They're just going to say, okay, there's so many people to pick from, right?
Right.
They're just going to go next. They're just going to
Yeah.
go down the line to the next easier hit, the next easier target.
Right. It's like porch pirates. When they're going to come, they're like, if you've got a
Exactly.
security gate and a guard dog, they're like, yeah, no, we're going next
We'll go
door.
to the next house. Right. Exactly. So
Now
I
the
think people have to have every possible security system in place,
right,
just enough that you're not the easy target.
right, because it's low hanging fruit for them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And so if you turn on multi-factor authentication,
Mhm.
if you freeze your credit at all four bureaus,
Yeah.
if you do your software updates, here's another thing. People, they get the software update and they're like, I'll do it later.
Mm.
Here's what I want to tell you. This is my public service announcement
There
today
you
for
go.
you guys is what's happening is usually there's a security patch in there of something because there's some kind of security opening that means people could get into your computer or into your phone.
Yeah.
Um, so they patch it. Now, when they patch it, they push the software out. So from the time they find out about it until the software goes live, you're vulnerable. It's called
Mhm.
0 day when they find out, but they don't have a patch yet.
Right. Right.
That could be a few hours, could be a few days, but so you're vulnerable for that amount of time, but you don't even know it's happening.
Right.
Then the software update comes out. And what do they put out with it? They put out here's the notes about what this patch covers.
Right.
And when they talk about there was a security loophole and this is now patched,
Mhm.
they've just basically put out also an advertisement to all the bad guys to say,
Right.
here's what the security problem is with this on this version of the operating system or this software or this phone. So
Right.
now they know if they look for somebody with that, they know how to get in. So
Right.
they
It's
just got
like
the
it gave
key,
them the roadmap or the key,
gave them
didn't
the
it?
roadmap.
Right.
Now you're sitting at home going, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I don't want to reboot. It takes it's going to, I got to be on a phone call in 2 minutes and
Yeah.
I'm going to do it later. Now, of course, you can set it for auto update at night and things like that, but most people don't.
Mhm.
And I've literally, some of my clients are people who push those things off for months or
Oh
weeks or
my.
days. A lot of people do. They think, oh, because they're like, oh, it's working fine. Like they think that, oh, well, my system's not slowing down, so I don't have to do that yet. They're not thinking about it, the cybersecurity part of it, which is, oh, I need to protect myself. So
Right.
please, everybody, if you do nothing else, freeze your credit, update your software, turn on MFA. You're automatically right there. You're now 300% safer or more
Right.
than you
And then now you're not the low hanging fruit. You're not the easy
were.
hit. Right.
Right. Because now you asked about AI. What happens with AI, and even before AI, this is just true with software and creating bots and everything.
Sure.
But what hackers will do is they will buy, these passwords on the dark web and it's associated with you. Also, unfortunately, like 40% of the population are still using some combination of 20 passwords that are the most common. Password 123, I love you.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, or they're using dog name, pet name, their birthday, kids, all that's on Facebook. So for 250 on the dark web, they can get that. So
Oh
now,
my gosh.
if you think that it's like if you think, well, I'm safe because that's a lot of work and I'm not that important, it's like, but they're not doing it. They're scraping a file,
Yeah.
dropping it into their computer system,
Right.
takes
Right.
them 30 seconds, and that is then sending out 10,000, tens of thousands of attacks of attack attempts every hour.
Yeah.
And it's called credential stuffing. When they take, and they try to log you into Bank of America with password 123 and Wells Fargo with password 123 and everything. And they do this all day long, 24 hours a day. So the thing is, this is how people get hacked while they're sleeping or working out or playing with their grandkids
Right.
because they have these weaknesses that they don't know. So shoring yourself up and doing that is super critical.
Yeah. Passwords need to be something that are so random and so not associated with you that there's no way anyone can figure it out.
Correct.
It's
Now,
really
one
important.
thing is most people feel like, I mean, I remember this, and I remember thinking when I
Yeah.
was trying to get safe. And I was coming up with random and unique ones. And then you're trying to store them safely because you please do not put them on post-it notes and do not put them on a note. Do not put them in a Word document or a Google document.
Right. No, they can't be anywhere on the
Right.
computer.
No, but a lot of people do. A lot of people do. And those are the first things people look for when they get into your laptop, which they can do easily while you're at Starbucks or wherever you're, or the, wherever you are, any public Wi-Fi you get on. And by the way, public Wi-Fi includes password protected Wi-Fi's. When you're staying at the Marriott and
Yeah.
you log in, a lot of people think, oh, well, I've got a password, it's secure because I've got that
Right.
little block symbol. Well, hackers stay at the Marriott too.
Yeah. They just
And I
look.
sat with a friend. I have hacker friends. And one of them, we went in, we were at a Marriott for a thing. That's why I'm using them. And Marriott is great. I love them. I'm just using them as an example. It could be anywhere. But he sat there and he just set up a Wi-Fi. He had his Wi-Fi
Yeah. Yeah.
device on his laptop, and he just set up a Marriott guest. But instead of the underscore, he did a hyphen. So there's now two Marriott guests.
Ah.
And so then he's watching everybody's transactions coming through, and he can see all the sites
Oh
people are
my
going to. And
gosh.
people are trying to, buy something. They're making reservations. And just what now he's an ethical hacker. He's a good guy. So he does this to educate people. I drove around with him in his neighborhood where, he had moved in and he was meeting his neighbors and stuff. And he had met
Yeah.
them and he told them what he did. And he said, oh, I can help you get safer. And they're like, oh, thanks. That's nice. And they never followed up. So we drove around one Saturday afternoon. I drove him around and he hacked into five neighbors' password protected Wi-Fi in under 2 minutes each.
Wow.
They had password on their own Wi-Fi at home, and
Yeah.
he hacked in just by guessing what it would be and finding random things. Five
Amazing.
neighbors. And the reason I'll never forget this is because it was a bet and I had to buy dinner that night. Now, what he did is he took screenshots of each of them because he could see their documents. Like literally, if he
Wow.
wanted to, he could have gotten in and seen how much they have in their retirement account, what
Yeah.
this is, their kids' photos, God knows what.
That's
He didn't do
terrible.
that because he's an ethical hacker, but he took a screenshot of what he had access to. And then he followed up that way. He said, "Hey, I want to show you something." So he went to the neighborhood watch equivalent meeting, and said,
Yeah.
"I want to show you
Yeah.
something because you guys need to understand this." And what I
Right.
always tell
Right.
people when I tell that story is, don't wait for us to come to your neighborhood and
Right.
show you
Right.
everything we can get access to. Just, you know, it's a in the cybersecurity world, this is what hackers do for a living with no ethical qualms about it. They have
Right. Exactly.
flexible morals is what it's called. And and those of us who work in cybersecurity, a lot of the good guy hackers will do this as like a party trick, like a parlor game kind of thing. I do it to show people what is possible because
Right.
once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, even what I've just told you,
Right.
you're probably not going to forget this. And now you know what to do to protect yourself.
Right. Right. Because we think we are in a bubble.
Hmm.
We think that we've created this little safe space for ourselves.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of us still have, especially with my generation, Gen X and baby boomers,
Yeah,
we didn't grow up in a world where this existed.
right.
And so oftentimes our reality, and I know this from even my book, Unpacking the Attic, which is Healing
Right.
Childhood
Which
Wounds.
is such a great book, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But the point is, so much of who we are is wired or programmed into us when we're children.
That's true. Yeah.
And
Hardwired brain.
when we were children,
Mhm.
this wasn't in the world. This didn't exist.
Right.
So our innate awareness of the changes in the world as it is today is sometimes lagging behind where it
Right.
needs to be.
Right.
And this is something that even adults that are in the sandwich generation, where we're raising our kids and we're taking care of aging parents, right? We need to extend that understanding
Mhm.
forward to the generation that doesn't have it built into their awareness because it wasn't in their childhood programming. This
Right.
was not something that we were exposed to because it didn't exist,
Right.
right? This is all new.
Mhm.
So, I mean, my mother wouldn't even use a flip phone.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So, to put it in perspective, she just passed this last August at 96.
Mhm.
So there's a whole generations of people that don't have this as part of their awareness.
That's completely true. Yeah. And I think one of the challenges, because we were talking about kids and grandkids,
Yes.
all of this, one of the challenges is the older you are, the better sense of awareness you have about safety.
Mhm.
But the younger you are, the better sense of technology.
Right.
And the thing is, you
We
need
need to,
both. You need both
right.
because what happens is when a grandparent's trying to tell their grandchild or adult child how to um, how to protect them online, they're like, you don't know anything about tech. The thing is, young people are have rate very high on having been scammed, and when I say that, I'm talking about like teenagers through 30. Okay,
Yes. Right.
so the millennial generation that knows tech better than everybody above, right? I'm a Gen
Right.
Xer too. Um, than everybody above, but they don't know security because they're also so indoctrinated in it. They're not used to, they're doing the equivalent of leaving the doors and windows unlocked
Locked.
and even open, right?
Mhm.
And in fact, and I think, so this is very important when we're having the conversation.
Mhm.
It's a great opportunity to partner up and say, hey, because when you're trying to tell your grandchild, say, hey, I could really use your help with this because I've been learning about online safety and how we can protect ourselves from the bad guys that are out there. But you understand technology better. And when you as a grandparent, and I'm an auntie
Yeah.
and a mom,
Yeah.
all this, that when you get to acknowledge their strength and create
Yes.
this partnership, you're
Yes.
both going to be safer. And it's such a great, 1 + 1 = 5 right there.
Right.
The two of you
Right.
together can be 5 times, more collaborative. So it's really important, that you do that. But there are a lot of really horrific things happening to children online. And again, that's using the psychology. So they're being shamed or they're being humiliated into things and you know, they're getting depressed and worse.
Mm.
And so we need to protect them. So this is
We do.
really a call to time,
We
which
do.
is we really do. And they can help us because they understand the technology better. I want to go back to something you said because the thing about growing in the bubble,
Yes.
we do, but what happened to me, I was in a bubble and I got popped by a pin, and it was horrific. What I what I've done to make it easy for people to understand how to protect themselves is make it life skill related. So I talked to you about there's 7 steps. You do 7 steps, you'll be 700% safer than you are today. And it's really that simple. But the thing is, I have you think of your digital castle and your digital castle defense system. So I want you to think of your devices as your castle gates, right? And most people are leaving them open or at least unlocked or don't even know where they are or because they have devices. Yeah, we have when you get on your Wi-Fi and you look, you're going to find you have devices hanging your what is that that's actually got access to my own Wi-Fi? Because
Oh,
it could be your smart refrigerator, your smart TV, and all of these things that first of all meant a lot of them are very sketchy in and of themselves.
mhm.
So you don't want them hanging on the same network that how I was talking about you could sit in a Starbucks or whatever and in
Right.
America and watch. Well,
Right.
your TV, somebody at the other end of your TV could be doing that on your own network. So even though you've got a secure network and you think, well, I'm at home, you have to be careful of what you let on. So almost every Wi-Fi device allows you to create a primary and a guest, and you need to put all of your devices on your guest network.
Mm.
And that way you're protecting you and your family. And if you have a home business, you want to even separate it into having your business and your financials separate even from your family because if you have a 10-year-old kid and their friend comes over and they want to play gaming and they got to
And
get access to
yep.
network and they can't remember that password, they just give them the code and they're in the family network. Well, not all and let's say they're teenagers, and not all gamers are hackers, but almost every hacker is a gamer. So, it's a comparable skill set. So even if they're
Yes.
not bad guys, why give them access to it? Or
Right.
why give access to somebody that might have a virus on their device and
Right.
infect your network? So
Right.
I call your network your drawbridge because it really is the equivalent. So your Wi-Fi and your router, when was the last time you updated your router software? Because those don't auto update. And most
Oh,
people go like, wait, that's a thing. I have to do that.
yeah. Right. I
It's who even knows the password? Is it still 1111, which is on the label underneath the device so anybody can get in? Is the only if you change your password, is the only person who knows it your teenage daughter's gamer boyfriend or
Uh,
the Geek Squad guy who installed it? Because if you don't even remember your password, somebody knows what it is, and somebody could get access. Most people they can go 2 or 3 years without having updated anything. And again, all those patches that have come out have made you incredibly vulnerable. I
mm,
call it your drawbridge because it's that important. In medieval times, an invading
yeah,
horde could go
sure.
across your drawbridge and it's game over. Same
Mhm,
is true in our homes. So make your home your sanctuary. Make it your a defensible digital castle,
mhm.
and you get to be the king or queen of your castle.
There you go.
And then your accounts are your windows, so your passwords and all of that.
Mhm.
How many passwords do you think the average person has?
200.
That's actually a good guess. Most people guess 40 to 100,
No,
but it's really close.
I know
By
I
the end
have
of
at
this,
least that many.
by the end of this year, we're tracking the average is going to be 400.
Yeah, I believe it easily.
And
Yeah.
people are like, what? And then because now here's the reason why. You know why you can't remember? Not you, but why most people can't remember is because you couldn't remember all those passwords yourself to save your life. I used to say, does it feel like it's easier for a hacker to break into your account than for you to log into your account? Because it does feel that confusing. So
Right.
here's the other great tip. You want to use a password manager. These
Mhm.
things are going to keep, in cyber, okay, 97% of cybersecurity people use password managers. So if we're all going to use them knowing everything we know, unless you're better than 97% of cybersecurity professionals, use a password manager. And of those, three-quarters of us use either 1Password or Bitwarden. And I talk about these, and on my website I have some info for free info to help you understand what they are. But basically, what it is, you have an app, and you have a login, and you can do an extension on your Google, on your or your whatever your browser is on your laptop.
Sure.
What it does, all 200, and it'll create a new. You put in that you're going to use this username or this email,
Yeah,
you put in, and then you let it generate a password for you. And it's going to generate either a 3 word or 4 word and use a number and a character,
sure.
randomize it. You're going to tell it the website, login, like
Yeah,
your chase.com/login.
right.
And then when you are going to log into your bank, you don't open your browser and go there. You open your little desktop thing. If you have, it'll do face recognition, it'll do fingerprint recognition, or it'll do a login with one very secure password. And then you just click on open and fill, and it opens the window for you, takes you to that page, populates your name and password, and lets you in. And then it deletes it from the memory of your computer within 2 minutes.
Excellent.
Right.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
if you have that, it's going to generate, because everybody says, I know I have to use strong, unique passwords, but I don't know how to. It's hard to create them, and it's even harder to remember them. Well, let this do all the work. Delegate this to. This is your new password keeper. Let this be the master of keys in your castle, and that will save you so much hassle.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. So we're the keeper of our keys at that point.
You are. You are. And you really do need to be, like they say your home is your castle. So you
Right.
really need to act like the king or queen of your
Uh,
castle and not be MIA on your own castle.
yeah.
Because you
That's
protect your
brilliant.
home. Like, here's the thing. You're
Sure.
not waiting for the police or a security guard or
Right.
the government to come in and lock your doors and windows at night so you can go to
Right.
sleep.
Right.
But we are waiting for that for our online security. And
Mhm.
and the thing is, it's not going to happen. The government is busy protecting our nation,
Right.
and companies are busy protecting to the best of their ability the data. And even then, you get all the letters, there's always
Yeah.
a leak.
Yeah.
So protect your own castle. Just protect yourself online in your digital castle the same way you protect the home you live in, which is your castle.
Right. Absolutely. And we are probably engaging in way more interactions online than we are in our own neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
I
Probably
mean,
by 10x, 20x, because
scalable. Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
just even just looking at social media for 5 minutes, which is The only way I spend 5 minutes on social media is if I set an alarm. You just cannot. You get in and it's hardwired to take you deeper down the rabbit hole. So,
Right. Right.
so good luck with
By
that. But
design.
yeah, but look at how many people and entities you engage with every minute you're on social media or on the internet. Yeah.
Well, if someone is going to just do one thing
Hmm.
the next 5 minutes to help themselves, what would that one thing be?
I would, if well, in a 5 minute period, freeze your credit.
Raise your credit.
Freeze your credit.
Yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
that way, if you don't have MFA turned on and you don't have good passwords and you're a train wreck on because your stuff's all over the dark web and you haven't changed your password or your router.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like a lot of work, but here's the thing. So just freeze your credit today.
Yeah.
Um, but here's the thing. I like to challenge people, like if it's 7 steps, you could do 7 steps in 7 days,
Oh, sure.
in 7 weeks, in 7 months.
Mhm.
But please do it because there is an AI cybercrime tsunami hitting our shore already.
Yes.
And everybody who doesn't have these basics in place is low hanging, will be washed to shore.
Mhm.
It's not going to be fun. There's going to be a lot
Yeah.
more victims. It's expected to grow. The current cybercrime rates are expected to grow to 300% in the next 18 months.
Wow.
Most of that is through things that are completely preventable and in your control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want you to hear that as an empowerment message because
Right.
you can
Absolutely.
protect yourself. You,
Right.
it's like hearing that there's criminals in the neighborhood and you leaving your lights on, your doors open, your windows open, and a sign that says, I took Ambien and I'm not going to wake up. It's really like that. That's what everybody's doing on the internet. So
Right.
don't if you wouldn't do that in real life,
Yeah.
don't do this in real digital life.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, this has been wonderful. Now I'm going to spend the rest of the day implementing all of these things. It's wonderful. Now,
Just do one a day or
right.
one a week
Knowledge
even.
is one thing.
Yes.
Implementation is a totally other thing,
It
right?
is, but the thing is, it's very simple. When you see, I hope that everybody's feeling like, oh, it's as easy. Like when you think about, I know how to lock my doors and windows.
Right.
I could figure this out. And also, you have 200 passwords. That does seem overwhelming. I'm even tired thinking about that. But you don't need to do 200 right away.
Yeah.
But what I would ask you to do is write down the 10 most important. Write
Sure.
down the ones, you know how when they say if you had to evacuate your house for a fire, what would you take? You
Right.
immediately know photos, jewelry, whatever,
Right.
grandma's something or other.
Right.
Well, do that same list for online. Which accounts, if hacked, would devastate you? It's going to be your retirement, your
Sure.
financial, your credit, your digital memories. So just do the list of 10 and just do one at a time. Sign up for a 1 password. If you don't know how to do it, and I give tips on this on my website if people are feeling a little overwhelmed. It's very simple. I've done it with people. I,
Sure.
5 minutes. You set it up and then just do your most important 5 accounts.
Yeah.
And then sometime later, the next day or the next week, do the next 5. Just
Sure.
when you keep chipping away,
Mhm.
you're getting stronger and stronger and
Right.
stronger.
Right.
And I have to tell you, and then celebrate it because you're making yourself safer and you're making your family safer
Right.
and you're learning things that you can share with others. See, I'm on a mission. So thank you, Anne, for letting me help. If I've helped, just a couple people in your audience, I'm so thrilled.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then they can share this information and help
Right.
others because we
Exactly.
do not have to, nobody has to be a victim.
Right. And isn't that why we're all here? Is
Mhm.
to be compassionate to each other and to be there and hold space for each other and extend that compassionate teaching or learning or whatever knowledge or love or skill that we have. The problem is that so many people see themselves as this isolated thing, and we're not. We are all interconnected,
Right.
and we all need to be here for each other and show up for each other and support each other. So
Right. Well, and everybody listening has
yeah.
a wonderful gift that they get to give. There's
Yeah.
it's like emotional It's an emotional and physiological way of doing barter. Like, you share
Yeah,
all your gifts, your wonderful talents and gifts with so many of us.
yeah,
And everybody listening is sharing things. And sometimes we
exactly.
don't value what we bring to the table. So I'd encourage everybody to think about what they're bringing to the table, because that's also why you want to be protecting yourself and others so that you can,
Yeah,
one thing I really want to say in parting, one of the reasons this is so important to me is because when I remember how I felt when I was under
oh,
attack, and I couldn't I mean, I couldn't even think about what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, what I wanted to do was, get it over with in a way, just be like, just please stop the nightmare. Um, and I certainly couldn't think of what I was going to do, but this is why I love helping people know that they're safer and feel safer. Because when you feel safe, it's like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like a foundation. When you feel safe, you do you do your things that matter to you. You share things that matter to you. You get
right.
to you get to start creating or continue living your best life.
Mhm.
And the reason I love helping people be safer is because that makes the world a better place,
It
because
does.
everybody's bringing I'm helping people be safe so they can do what they're here to do.
Right, right, right.
So
Creativity
thank
with
you for that.
purpose. Thank you, my
Yes.
darling.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you
This
so
has
much.
been so wonderful, so enlightening, and I'm sure everyone is now going to be running to their running to their computer and their password list,
That's
which
right.
is exactly what we want them to do because I want them to be empowered.
Yes. Yeah. And if
And
you
that's
want to get some tips on
about,
this, I do have resources. So the company I started and my website is
yes,
smarteronlinesafety.com, SOS, smarteronlinesafety.com. And I have a weekly newsletter. So if you sign up, you're going to get tips. You're going to learn about new things that are coming in, but it's all short and sweet. It shouldn't take long to just stay up to date. I don't want, like I said, nobody wants to learn cybersecurity. Unless you're actually going into the field, but we all want to feel safe online. And so what I put out is meant to do that. And I can tell you about things. So
fantastic.
thank you
Well,
so much,
thank
Anne.
you so much. This has been delightful, and talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Have a wonderful day, everybody.